I was asking you why Gary started the phrase MCU.
Because I already answered the question. It's because Kevin Feige, basically, like a male feminist, basically wanted to get more women into the MCU. And again, that's not bad, but he basically really signed off on a lot of creative decisions that aren't working well, and it's basically neurotic drinker and et cetera, et cetera. Voicing their opinions like these are not good. Here are the reasons why.
So, I mean, I'll go ahead and break it down for you. I mean, honestly, I don't know Gary's head, but it seems kind of obvious to me. He created it because it's something he knew there would be people who are sexist who get behind that and go, yeah, MCU, women suck. And then there are people who would get offended by that saying, MCU, why are you saying women suck? And Gary knew he could get both that audience by saying something sexist about the MCU. And now, let me get set up for the debate. The OCD in me is trying to make it look good. Okay, looks like he's coming in. Let me go ahead and set up so you guys will be able to hear him. All right. Hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
There you are. Okay. Let me go ahead and set this up. So there we go.
All right, Bob, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing? You there?
Fine. Hey, Bob, if you don't mind, I'd like to record this bit so I can upload this debate. Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I can hear you. You hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Can? Okay, so there's probably a bit of a delay. Anyways, so if you don't mind, Bob, I'd like to record a little bit of this for my YouTube channel. That's all right with you?
That is fine.
I'm just gonna record on my end. All right, thank you very much. All right, I'm just gonna press record, and I'm gonna do my usual intro. All right, how you doing, all you beautiful sons of bitches? This is your boy Backseater here, and today, as you can see, I'm not watching a YouTube video. This is a very special occasion. This is my first big internet debate, basically, with one of my detractors here, or at least someone I disagree with. You've probably seen him in a few of my videos. This is Organized Chaos, Bob, as I call him a lot. And so, Bob, do you want to say hello?
Hey, I did.
My audience.
I didn't know I was a detractor of you. But
well,
okay,
I mean, cool. I just call you. I just call you detractor because I disagree with you on a lot of stuff. But anyway, speaking of that, Bob, I just want to say thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to do this, basically. Because I'm like a virtual nobody. I only got like 6 subs. Okay. So you take a time out of your day to talk with a guy who disagrees with you on a lot of stuff. I really want to say thank you a lot.
No problem. So, no, I like to talk to different people, and honestly, the past few conversations, they haven't really turned into debates. They've just been kind of more friendly conversations where we disagree, but yeah, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. So anyways, so I emailed you a list of videos, not videos, a list of topics I wanted to just discuss with you about. So I just wanted to hash out the differences, maybe change some minds, walk away from better people, stuff like that. So let's just jump right into it, shall we?
Okay. So did you want to go in the order? Where do you want to
go? Let's just start from the top, shall we?
All right.
So the very first video I think it was the first video I did on you. It was your video where you were talking about the Acolyte. You made it when I think 5 or 6 episodes had been released. And you were basically reviewing Drinker's video on it, and you were also reviewing a video by Jesse Grant. Honestly, that video was the first time I've ever heard of Jesse Grant. I never heard of the guy till that video. But so I wanted to talk less about like your thoughts on their videos and more like just like your thoughts on the show and like more specifically why you liked it and basically that. So Bob, in your own words, why did you like this show?
Well, I mean, I've actually gone over this on the podcast and stuff like that. But
Okay.
do I think this is an amazing show? No, I actually thought episode 3 was kind of bad. There's lots of things I have critiques of. I thought the first half, I thought started strong. Then episode 2 was okay, and then episode 3 kind of sucked, and then episode 4 was kind of a slog. Then episode 5 really picked it up. That was probably my favorite episode. And then I think the second half of the season was really good, more or less, because we have people exploring the light and dark side. The people we think are good guys aren't all that great, and the people who are bad guys are actually still kind of bad. But there's people getting tempted towards the dark side. I just like kind of like the exploration of the light and dark side. I kind of wish the beginning of the series had more of that. Do I think it's amazing series or anything? No. I thought it was good. I won't call it amazing. I thought episode 5 was pretty amazing, though.
Okay, so that's all. So that's all very fair. Now, so if I'm correct, Bob, like basically what you thought is that overall you wouldn't say it's anything to write home about, but the second half is better than that the latter half is better than the former. Correct? Is that correct?
That sounds like a fair assessment.
All right. So, all right. So you mentioned like how like you like that this series was kind of like toying with the idea that like the light side isn't really good, the dark side isn't really bad. Kind of like trying to toy with it and do like the gray.
It doesn't really.
I just want to like
real
hone
quick.
in on.
I don't like the series doesn't really say the light side is good and the dark side is bad, but it throws a lot into like where people land. Like it essentially it's exploring where people are at. It's not saying people are 100% good or 100% evil. They fall somewhere in the middle. They're saying the light side and the dark side is more of a spectrum. I like that exploration of that.
Okay. All right. Sure. All right. Well, all right, well, in my opinion, Knights of the Old Republic 2 does that better, and in fact, I think Knights of the Old Republic 2 does like what this show tries to do like better. But I mean that's just
that's also a video game. Lots of people, I haven't played Knights of the Old Republic 2. Lots of people aren't familiar with that.
I mean I recommend you play it, Bob, but that's just me. Now,
okay.
So like all right, so let's just
I will also say
my problem with
real quick, since you introduced that, I just want to say just because something is good or does a better job doesn't mean the other thing can't necessarily be good or have qualities of its own.
I mean, sure. I'm just saying I think KOTOR 2 does that aspect that you're talking about better. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
All right. So let me just bring up like my criticisms of the series, right? Okay. Perhaps my biggest criticism of the show is that the morality is completely borked. You know what I'm saying? Like the morality of this show is it's just a mess, right? So let me just tell you why. It mainly centers all around the flashbacks in episodes 3 and 7. So we're introduced. And you remember the plot of the episode, right? Of those episodes, right? Yeah. Those are the flashbacks. Yeah. So in episode 3, we're introduced to like the witches. I still don't know like what their coven is called. They're just the witches. We're introduced to them, and they're basically like kind of set up as like they're kind of set up as kind of like the victims of what the Jedi do to them in these 2 episodes, more or less. But
well, I mean, in episode 3,
they're trying to like play up like.
In episode 3, it's kind of
Go on.
nebulous. In episode 7, yeah, the Jedi's really messed up. And thank you, Low War Mark, for
Right.
the
Okay.
5 memberships.
All right. So the show is basically trying to be all like oh, they just want to like they just want to like live in peace, like not want to deal with anything. And then like the Jedi like show up on their doorstep basically, and like, oh, we're detecting like a virgins or something or other. And they're basically like, so they find the twins there, and so they find that, so they find May and Osha there, and they basically so they do the tests, and they do the tests, right? And then they're basically planning to leave. And then I think Soul was really done dirty in this whole show. I think he did not deserve what he got in the end, by the way.
I mean, I regret that he got what he wanted, but or got what happened to him. But we can discuss it. But we can discuss exactly why that happened to him. But go ahead.
All right. So, all right. Actually, let's just jump into that right now. So, like, what are your thoughts on that?
So, Saul, I thought was a fantastic. I thought he was probably one of the more interesting characters, probably the most interesting character throughout the whole series. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So
I would agree with that. Yes.
So, episode 7, we see he kills one of the mothers of Osha. At least that's the implication. It is an accident. He essentially, shit's going on. He doesn't understand it. He freaks out. He does the fucked up thing, and he kills her. For me, that's not necessarily 100% damnable. It's tragic, but it's not 100% damnable. But what was damnable for me was, rather than looking back on that moment and thinking to himself, I fucked up. I can't believe I did that. I should have done better. What he instead does is he justifies it. He works backwards. He justifies. He's like, I did the right thing. That was a noble thing. And it wasn't. It was a fuck up. And that's kind of where Osha and the thing, keep in mind, where Osha kills him, that's also her turn to the dark side. She's not being a good guy when she does that. But, yeah, that's where he falters. It's tragic, it's fucked up, but like, he kind of chose his path.
All right, so like so I mean, so personally, the way I see it in that scenario is that, so you gotta remember that scene. So Anastasia, the Jodie Turner-Smith's character, right? She is basically she basically turns into a freaking ring wraith from Lord of the Rings, where she goes all black and wispy. And she like her mouth elongates like she's Ghostface or something. She turns into this bizarre monstrous form, and then all of a sudden May, I think that's the kid who ran in again. May runs in. May all of a sudden just starts to disintegrate or something. So what was Soul supposed to do, frankly? Like in that scenario, because it's like this woman is turning.
Maybe not kill her. So like, he has no idea what's going on in that scenario, and they're just doing something that's like part of a ritual or something.
So okay.
He freaks out and he does the wrong thing.
So Soul is just supposed to just. Well, I mean, anyone would in that scenario. So like, are we just supposed to let this woman transform into a spooky
when something weird and fucked up happens, your instinct is to kill the person immediately? Because you don't understand
she could have done it. Well, I mean, I didn't understand it when I first saw it.
No, neither did I.
Her to die, and then they're like,
he freaked out and he made a bad call.
well, what the well. Okay. So Bob, let me kind of do like a sort of analogy here. So let's say that like this is like the real world, right? And let's say this is the real world, and the Jedi are like policemen, SWAT officers, whatever, and they're like investigating this crazy cult, like Heaven's Gate or whatever.
Mhm.
And Anasea is the leader or whatever, and they basically are holding like 2 children, captive in their base.
Well,
Right.
wait.
One
They,
of
they
them
they
comes
have no
running in,
reason.
and the cult leader again.
They don't know really much about the children. They don't
Go
have any
on.
reason to think they're being held captive or anything.
Well, I mean, Soul did get a sort of like like kind of like he did sense a feeling that they were in danger, and so they pretty much had like probable cause to go back and investigate more or less. And but I digress. So anyway, so back to my analogy. So one of the kids runs in, and then all of a sudden, like the cult leader whips out a freaking gun and then aims it at the kid. Basically, like what would the policeman do?
Well,
Basically,
that's not what's going on like at all. But that like I mean, you're saying it's a gun. That's not what's going on. We just see like she's turning into this like smoky
well,
wispy thing. He doesn't understand it and
mhm.
freaks out and kills her.
May was pretty much disintegrating, and I think they pretty much said that like she was basically trying to like return her and May to the Force, and returning to the Force is pretty much what happened. That's when a
Well,
Force user
I
dies,
mean,
and they basically like.
did you miss the moment where she tells him that she was going to let Osha go with him?
I mean that doesn't really matter at that point, considering that she was about to pretty much kill her and her daughter in a murder suicide. So
Well,
it didn't
that's the
really
thing. We
matter by
don't
that
understand.
point.
That whole scene is something we don't understand. We're put in Saul's position as an audience member watching that. We don't understand what's going on, and it throws us off. And Saul freaks out and he kills her, and we later see that was a bad call. And that for me, that's not even what
So base
for me, that's not even Saul's damning offense. It's bad. It's a bad mistake. But what's more damning for me from him is not that he does that. It's that rather than like apologize and be like, I fucked up. Oh my god, I can't believe I did that. I should have thought. I should have been more clear." Rather than do that, he retroactively justifies it. That's what kind of condemns him, in my opinion.
Well, when you're in that situation, like I think like justifications are where you're going to need to get yourself out of there anyway. You're being questioned on it anyway. But
Maybe,
it's like
maybe it is
so.
human, but it doesn't mean that's right.
Well, all right. Well, all right. Well,
I
okay.
mean,
All right.
you
Fair
you
play.
could
But
make
then,
you can make the argument that's a well written aspect of it because like he's doing the human thing and justifying something he did that was frankly a terrible mistake.
all right. Well, my problem with the whole justification, man, when he's pretty much like on his knees begging, like on his knees in front of Osha trying to justify it. Like, I mean, it's like, so are we not supposed? Like, it kind of felt like almost like the show didn't want us to hear his side of the story and just make like a real blanket judgment on him anyway. That's the impression
But
I got.
I mean,
Like
we
like
largely
it
see
doesn't
his
matter
side
like
of the story. I mean,
I mean, yeah, we see his side of the story, but he doesn't communicate that to Osha. So it just comes across like it doesn't matter what your justification is. What you did was wrong. You're bad. You should feel bad. Now die. That's basically what I got from it. And so back to my analogy here. So basically, Bob. So in that scenario, basically, what you're saying, the best thing that we should have done is just let the mom just transform into this spooky monster and do whatever she does, and then question her after she does what she does. Like maybe she was powering up to do like a super dangerous spell or something,
yeah. So what you're talking about is I mean it's an interesting thing to bring up because
and then
Now we're breaking
kill
up a
the
bit.
other Jedi.
Yeah, as I was gonna say, the issue is we're dealing with two types of Force users who use the Force in very different ways, and they don't really understand each other. She did something that freaked him out, and he made a bad call, and it kind of just breaks down as simple as that. Let's see if we get back connected.
All right. Well, well, Bob, since you just those two in like at least one of those two episodes is just have both sides sit down and just like have a discussion about like the Force versus
We're breaking up a lot.
the thread and the, oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. So it sounded like you're talking about what they should have done is had an episode where they sit down and kind of figure out the differences
Let me
between
know when
each
you get the
other
connection fixed.
here.
Okay,
Actually,
okay. So, uh, yes, pretty much. And I don't really fault that on the characters. I fault that more on the writers' room and Leslie Headland for not really wanting to explore this kind of stuff. Because this kind of stuff, I'm telling you about, this kind of stuff is very interesting to Star Wars fans, right? Like this kind of stuff, like they would get into, but it's just right. It's just there on the. It's just left there to rot on the vine, more or less, to me. Yeah.
all right. So it was pretty choppy
Uh,
there. It sounded like you were saying something about them needing to sit
and
down and talk and explore this other form of the Force. I don't entirely disagree, but they never gave each other the chance because they didn't really trust each other. Well, I mean, which is part of the issues they had. They weren't really communicating clearly.
mhm.
They weren't really trusting each other, and something happened. What Saul saw it as kind of sus and did the bad move. In a perfect world, would they sit down and figure all that stuff out
Right. Well,
beforehand?
well,
That'd be great, but the world's not perfect.
all right. Well, I'm talking more. Well, okay. Well, I'm talking more about like when they first met in episode 3. All right. Like Bob, let me tell you how I would have written that. I would have had them basically walk on in, and they're basically like, "Hey, we're Jedi." Like, "Oh, you Jedi aren't welcome here." And then one of them, I don't know, maybe Indara, Carrie Ann Moss's character, one of them could be all like, well, like, how about we just have like a sit down and like hash like things out so like we're all on the same page here. Then we could have gotten into like the discussion of like the Force versus the thread, and all that. And like maybe that's how relations could have broken down. Like maybe Torben could have said something, and then like the Zabrak lady, Anastaea's wife, the other mom, like she could have said something to snap your back, tensions break down. I feel like that would have been like a more natural way to like show things like going off the rails, honestly, because that way, like I said, you can like properly show that off, and you can also like kind of expand on the thread there, and also like help differentiate it from like the Force and whatnot. But that's just how I would do it, and I don't really blame that all on the I don't blame that on the characters. I blame that more so on Leslie Headland and the writers' room for not wanting to explore that side of that part of the story, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Um, so I mean, they do kind of explore it a little bit. They don't do a whole lot. I know they were planning to do multiple seasons, so maybe they were planning to explore it more. That being said, we don't know. Would have been cool to explore it more. Yeah, I would have been. I thought the idea of exploring different interpretations of the Force was an interesting idea to introduce. I thought that was very cool. Now as far as like kind of rewriting it, it would have been better if they went in and negotiated and negotiations broke down. I mean, maybe, but that's an alternate version of the show we haven't seen. Maybe that wouldn't work as well. And the fact is, a lot of this show is based around failure to communicate, failure to get across different intentions, failure to um, um, just to understand each other. A lot of the show is about that, and it kind of follows up that theme. And like I said, I don't think this is a perfect show. I think it's overall good. It didn't blow my mind or anything, but it was
Mhm.
fine. So yeah.
All right. Well, all right. And another thing I really want to, another thing. All right. I'm not going to bring up all my criticisms of the show, but probably my second criticism, and this really ties into the whole this ties into my morality point that is just messed up. I thought the ending was absolutely god awful. So, like I said, basically, Soul basically goes out. He kind of goes out like a bitch, basically. Basically like on his knees, like begging for like death or mercy or whatever it was. May basically gets her
He
memories
wasn't really
wiped, so she like holds like
he wasn't really begging for death. He was
go
kind of
on.
accepting what was happening, and Osha is turning to the dark side. So it's not
Yeah,
100% like it's not like she's a good guy in that
yeah, okay, well,
situation.
something like that. Yeah, Osha. Yeah, I don't consider Osha to be the good guy by that point anymore. No,
No, no, absolutely
she
not.
did her
I mean,
heel
the
turn.
show is
But
telling
yeah,
you she's.
anyways, like,
I mean, the show's telling you she's
um,
not the good guy when the lightsaber turns red.
she's literally not the good guy anymore. We know that 'cause she's wearing black now. Ooh. And by the way, like this isn't really a knock against the show. This is not against Disney, but I really hate like the bleeding retcon, the bleeding stuff they added in. I think that's just dumb. Anyways, that's just aside the point.
Yeah, no. Apparently, like I saw people talk
Okay,
about
so
that.
anyways, yeah, so basically,
It's apparently a thing from I guess comic books or something. The Disney comic books they've published since the acquisition. But apparently, once you have
yeah,
if you have physical
yeah,
contact with a lightsaber crystal and turn to the dark side, it'll turn red, and that's the explanation for
yeah,
it.
and you like pour your head. That's no, whatever. That's a whole other
I don't
argument.
know.
Anyways,
It does provide a
yeah, so
cool
like I said,
visual.
I mean, yeah, but I'd rather like have whatever. Anyways, okay, so yeah, so May basically gets her memories wiped. So it's basically she doesn't remember anything she did. She doesn't feel guilt about anything she did at all. Basically May and Kymir basically run off into the suns. Of course May doesn't get punished for any of her crimes either. Um,
Well, May
Osha
is
and
kind of
Kymir
a
basically.
new. It's worth saying May's kind of a new person. She's been pretty much lobotomized.
I mean, yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, she's been lobotomized, quote unquote. She's had her memories wiped, but she's still committed. Like, she's still basically murdered at like 2 Jedi and attempted to kill like the good guys on numerous occasions or a few times. And so either way, she basically gets off scot free, and basically like the memory wipe is basically icing on the cake, more or less. Osha and Kymir basically ride off into the sunset. They basically get off scot free. All the people who've died in this show, they're not going to have their deaths avenged at all, or at least not for the time being. And basically, Green Bean, this is what I call Vernestra. Green Bean basically sweeps it all under the rug, and like this is a terrible ending. Like this makes no one look good at all. It's like, what kind of ending is this?
Well, I mean, obviously it was, and we'll see if they do multiple seasons. But it was intended to have multiple seasons. It's not meant to be an end.
I doubt it's gonna get a second season. That's just
I
me.
mean, we'll see. It's getting
And
a lot of online coverage, so it might.
hey, not all coverage is good coverage, but that's just me.
Coverage is
So,
coverage. Look what happened to Velma.
The bad coverage of Velma did not grant it its second season. It was already
really
part of that. Yeah,
nobody liked that
Velma
show.
was already going to get. Yes, I understand. I agree with that. But Velma was always going to get a second season. That's what HBO ordered. So
Okay, I don't
it was
remember
always going
that.
to get a second
I
season.
do not remember that at all.
Okay. I remember reading something like that, but yeah, Velma was going to get a season 2 anyway. And so basically what the negative reception did is that it basically canned any chances of a third season, but whatever. So with that, anyways, back on topic. Oh yeah, there's one more thing I want to talk about in this show before we move on to the next topic. It's like the retcons in this show, and I think you know which retcon in particular I'm talking about. You know, Ki-Adi-Mundi's birth year and his biology basically being retconned. Yeah.
His biology being I don't know about his biology being retconned, but
okay, all right, well, Bob, I don't know if you know about this, but Ki-Adi-Mundi's race, the Sarayans, the men of that species do not live long. So Ki-Adi-Mundi, when he became Jedi Master, he was basically given like an exception to the Jedi's codes of celibacy, and he was allowed to have 3 wives actually and sire children with them to keep his race going. I bet you didn't know that.
no.
But yeah, that's basically it. So the male Syrians only live to be about. They don't live very long. I want to say like less than 70 or so. Like they're a bit like the Solarians from Mass Effect, if you know who they are. They don't live long.
Well,
So,
I don't really know, but I know Star Wars Theory was saying that Ki-Adi-Mundi was 70 originally.
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, okay. So, all right, yeah. So, all right, something like that. All right, but I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head. I just know it doesn't live long. Anyways, yeah. So they retconned his birthday. They retconned his biology just to have him appear in this show. Now, Bob, I know you've said a little bit on that. Like, do you have any already? But do you want to say anything more on that?
On that, honestly, so Disney, like when it comes to anything that was done, um, um, when Disney did the purchase, they pretty much wiped away everything that was not in the movies and not Clone Wars. So they could build their own continuity. Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to a degree, I get that the expand
Yeah.
universe is a mess. There's lots of stuff in there, and it still exists if you want to read it. There is decent stuff in the expand universe. I've dabbled my toes in it. It's got some decent stuff. But yeah, they chucked away with that, and so now they're building a new continuity. Ki-Adi-Mundi is a character who just had like a very small role in the prequels, and they wanted to just give him a little cameo in one episode, so they did. I don't see an issue with that.
Okay, so all right, so Bob, here's the thing about that. So when you met, all right, so I understand Disney like getting rid of the entire EU. I understand that because when they bought Star Wars, there was a lot of EU content that came with it. And, Disney wanted a fresh slate to work with, and I understand not wanting to deal with that. I understand that. However, a lot of the stuff they did, and I don't approve of them getting rid of the old EU, by the way. But a lot of the stuff they did get rid of, namely information that can be found in like the fan encyclopedias or whatnot, or the top Trumps trading cards. That stuff still informs the characters and concepts that they kept around, right?
I mean, sure.
It's not like he's like some. So okay, so when you all right, so even then it's so when you so all right, so when you got Disney who are so when you got Disney who basically like, oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm basically having a brain fart right here.
It
Pardon me,
happens.
Bob.
I brain fart all the time.
Yeah. Okay. You have a character. So you got this character, and you're basically contradicting facts that like about you're basically contradicting facts about him just to have him in like a short little cameo and it's like I really just want to ask, like, how does this like Bob, honestly ask me, like how do you reconcile this honestly, like, and I mean like you specifically, how do you reconcile this? Because like this is just I already said that. How do you personally reconcile this? Because I consider this like a big break in continuity.
I assume
right
you're
here.
talking about, like, I haven't read the Kiadi Mundi Expand Universe stuff. I'm assuming he has some stuff where you got that backstory, and that's fine. And that stuff still exists, and if you enjoy it, that's fine. That being said, Disney said they're not going to follow that, and they aren't unless they choose to pick out something to follow. I mean, if you want to think of it as an alternate universe, but yeah, they're just doing something different.
Okay, well, Bob. All right, well, Bob. When you said like, oh, that stuff still exists, so you can go read that if you want it. Well, Bob, that stuff doesn't really matter a whole lot because Disney completely like threw it in the trash.
Wait.
So
It doesn't.
speak.
Wait, it doesn't matter.
So
Wait.
even if we could go read that,
No, wait. That I feel like that's
yes,
a really.
it doesn't matter anymore since Disney rendered it non-canon.
No, I think that's kind of cruel to do to the Expand universe. There's plenty of good stuff in the Expand universe that authors have put a lot of work into, and saying that just because it isn't canon, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
I mean, tell that to Disney. They threw it in the trash.
Yeah, Disney's gonna build their own canon, but
yes,
doesn't mean.
Bob, yes, as it stands right now.
But just because something isn't canon doesn't mean it's not like good or worth checking out.
I mean, okay, well, Bob, what reason do new fans have to go back and check it out if it's not canon anymore?
Well, if they really like a character, they can see some essentially alternate universe stories or stuff like that. There's some good writing in the Expand universe that people can check out.
Okay. All right. Similar point to that. All right, and I'd say there's better writing. That's just me personally.
Okay.
Second point is like, okay, so what reason do the older fans have to go back to it now? What reason do the older fans have to go back to it now? Since again, it doesn't matter anymore.
If the older fans enjoyed it before, they would still enjoy it now, whether or not it's canon or not. It's still there. It's still the exact same story. You can still go back and read it and enjoy it just as much.
Well, Bob, a lot of fans don't really like being told that their favorite stories have basically been rendered null and void because Disney wants to do their own thing. You know that, right?
Well, I know a lot of fans get offended by that, but I don't know. So I will let you know. I know I used to get caught up in canon and stuff like that. I did. I'm older now, and I kind of realize all this stuff. There's just so many different variations, especially of big franchises like Star Wars. There's so many different variants, different stories, offshoots. You can see whatever you want. You can go watch Ewok movies. You can watch droid animated series. You can watch the holiday special, and please don't. The holiday special is fucking garbage. But there's so many different Star Wars things you can watch. You can enjoy.
I'll co-sign on that.
But yeah, whether or not it's canon or not, that's just kind of, what the Disney wants to do with their story. They don't want to be beholden to anything that was written before. But it doesn't mean what's written before isn't bad. It doesn't mean what's written before isn't worth checking out. There's plenty of good stuff in the AU, as I was saying.
Well, they kind of are, well, Bob, they kind of were when they originally bought the franchise, though. Like, so, I mean, they kind of were, honestly. And like, okay, so Bob, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. Like you keep mentioning, like, oh, think of it as an alternate universe. Well, it's like, yeah, except again, that alternate universe doesn't matter since Disney isn't going to do anything with it. Like, they're going to continue to build their universe, the Disney canon. And the only real development, the old EU or Legends as it's called now, the only real development that's getting is through SWOTOR, more or less. And so again, like, what reason does anyone have to check it out now since it doesn't really matter? and
Well,
Disney,
I mean,
right? Since what does it even matter?
I mean,
So, and even
if you're a really big fan of it, go tell your friends. I mean, Disney still keeps those books published. They haven't stopped making those books. You know, you can tell your friends, "Hey, this is a really cool book to check out if you want, you know, some background on what used to be canon." And I'll double check. But I could have sworn even George Lucas said when he's putting together movies and stuff like that, that like if it's not on film, it's not 100% set in stone. So even under him, the canon of the EU was kind of whatever. And honestly, like that's the way it is with a lot of stuff. Like if you look at Doctor Who, there's the main series obviously, but there's also comic books, there's audio dramas, there's all types of Doctor Who stuff to dive into. And when you ask people, you know, what's canon, it's kind of like, well, whatever you want, make your own canon. If you really love the EU,
Bob,
get those books, enjoy
that's
them.
Bob, that's basically veering into a whole new territory because now you're basically saying like your canon, you're basically saying head canon now, and that's not really, and there really shouldn't be this huge divide between all the fans and then the fans and the rights holders on what isn't canon. Like, you see how big a mess that is?
Oh yeah, no, canon's a
Like,
mess.
okay,
The
Bob.
Star if you're talking about Star Wars canon, yeah, like you go into the EU, yeah, it's all over the place. It's a mess. Absolutely.
No, 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 no,
Doesn't
no,
mean
no,
there
no,
aren't
no, no,
good
no, Bob, no,
stories
no,
there.
Bob. That's not what I mean. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. All right, what I meant is like, okay, all right, Bob. Imagine this. Imagine if I go to a Star Wars like convention or whatever. I go to GalaxyCon or whatever. I go there and there's a whole mass of people there arguing, and all of them have completely different interpretations, recollections, and tellings of like just the first movie alone, A New Hope. They all have completely different and wild like stories of how A New Hope is, and it's all because like they all have their own canon. Do you see how chaotic that would get? So now imagine that, but all the fans and even the rights holders themselves don't know what canon is. That everyone has their own idea of canon, and it's basically a giant cluster of just conflicting ideas, right?
I mean,
So look, Bob, let me tell you.
I mean, I would argue that already exists.
Go on.
So it is what it is at this point.
Not really, Bob. No, not really. Okay. Now I will say, like
I,
early on the EU's days, back when it was like trying to like really get up off the ground. What?
I was just gonna say, do you remember Return of the Jedi?
Yes.
So in Return of the Jedi, there's this really nice moment where it's, you know, obviously that's the movie where it's revealed that Luke and Leia are sisters, and Luke's asking her, "Do you remember your mom?" And she's saying, "You know, I have these
Siblings.
vague memories." Yes, I'm sorry, siblings. But she has vague memories, but yeah, she remembers her mom. And she's like, "Why are you asking?" And he's like, "Because I have no memories of my mom. I don't remember her at all." And you know that sets up the idea that like when they were separated, you know, he went to live with his aunt and uncle, while she lived with her mom for a little bit on Alderaan before she passed. Now, cut back to the prequels. The prequels, we see
Mm-hmm.
them give birth and then their mom dies. So they just have like their infancy. Like Leia was even born
Mm-hmm.
second, so she would have, you know, maybe if she was born first, you could argue maybe there's some sort of force impression or some crap. But no, she was born second. So even the canon between the main movies that
Well,
everybody agrees are canon can get a little spotty.
at the very least, okay, well, Bob, at the very least, some of that can be explained away by a term I like to use called early installment weirdness. Are you familiar with that term?
No, explain it to me.
Okay. So I don't blame you for not being familiar. Only a guy like me would know. Early installment weirdness is when the earlier installments in a franchise have noticeable differences, if not absences, in the familiar aspects of it, right? The original trilogy is rife with early installment weirdness of Star Wars, right?
Yep.
So, like you said, there for example, the HoloNet is not stated to exist in Star Wars. The HoloNet's basically the internet in Star Wars, right? Because it was made in the 70s and 80s when the internet didn't exist, of course. So there is that, but there is that. But when you get to the prequels, the HoloNet exists. Will that cause a problem? Why isn't the HoloNet on in the entire on during the time of the original trilogy? Well, it's because when the Empire rose, they basically shut off HoloNet access from the rest of the galaxy, and even to themselves, frankly, because they wanted to keep info real tight and on a need-to-know basis, pretty much, within their command and with their civvies and whatnot. So at the very least, a lot of the continuity problems in the movies were smoothed out by the movies themselves, or by the or by EU material. Okay, so there is that. This, however, I see is just a very big retcon, and it ties into this point. You've probably heard this, you probably know what I'm about to bring up. In the Phantom Menace, when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are talking with the Council about how they were basically attacked by who they think was a Sith on Tatooine, and basically Ki-Adi-Mundi, he's the guy. I have a feeling that this is the reason why they retconned his age and species and biology to have him in the show. I believe they put him in the Acolyte because he's the guy with the line, well, that's impossible. The Sith have been extinct for millennia. So now it completely changes the context of that line, and in my opinion, for the worst. So now, instead of saying that line out of ignorance or lack of knowledge, he's supposed to be saying, in Anthony Gramuglia's video on the Acolyte, which was the first video I ever reacted to on my channel. I have my problems with that guy, but he did bring up a good point in that video. I reckon. So he said Ki-Adi-Mundi's the voice of ignorance in the prequel trilogy, which is that's a fair assessment. So yeah. So Ki-Adi-Mundi's line in that context of just the prequels, it's him speaking out of ignorance. He just literally does not know that the Sith are back, and everyone still thinks they're extinct when, of course, we know that Plagueis and Sidious were planning things behind the scenes. With the Acolyte now revealing this info, now it's changed to he just doesn't know to he's straight up lying.
And, no, he's not.
And I find it really hard to believe. What?
No, he's not.
Well, isn't he part of the cover? Isn't he part of the cover-up team?
Nope. He's in one episode.
He should.
He gets some sort of report, but it's not confirmed, so he has no idea.
Okay, all right. But the report mentioned a Sith-like individual, didn't it?
Possibly, but Sith-like doesn't really mean anything if there's no follow-up on it. He probably won't think about it after 100 years.
I mean, I think a lot of the Jedi would think about it the minute they got that. If they said, dude in black robes with red saber, I think they would want to follow up on that.
Well, you're talking about...
I digress.
Well, real quick, once that happened, there was a cover-up. He wasn't part of it, but there was a cover-up. And it was because I actually thought they did a really good job of discussing this. So the Senate is coming into the Jedi Temple, and they think this Jedi are kind of like sus, and they want to investigate them a bit more. So the Jedi does this cover-up to essentially, say oh, there's no dark Jedi, it's all fine. It's all well explained, and I think to why they wouldn't want to discuss the Sith, why they would keep it very closed doors, very need to know type stuff. I think they do a good job of explaining that. That's one of the strengths of the series, in my opinion.
All right. Well, okay. So I do not believe that this series. Okay. Well, anyways, let me finish on my prior point. It's all right. So yeah. All right. Well, okay. Well, even if he's still in the dark about this, okay, fine. How the heck is Green Bean, Vernestra? How is she hiding how is she hiding this from Yoda when she goes to speak with him in the final shot of the show?
Well,
It's like Yoda should be able to tell
assume
she's lying.
we will see. I actually assume she probably told him the full truth. But we don't know. We won't know unless we get season 2.
Well, why would she? Why would she hide it from the rest of the council and the Senate, but tell Yoda?
Well, she's hiding it from the Senate because she doesn't want the Jedi and Jedi business. She's hiding it from the rest of the council because, you want to minimize who knows that. You don't want it to leak to the Senate. You don't. I mean, heck, there might be people working in the Jedi Temple who work for the Senate as well. You want to keep that as narrow as possible.
Like who?
We don't know. She doesn't know.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, isn't she supposed to be like reasonably high up in rank to where she would know?
Are we talking about? Wait. Are you asking if she would know if there was somebody who was telling the Senate behind her back stuff? I mean, she might know people who work for the Senate.
Yeah, pretty much. Like she's reasonably a higher rank. She seems to be like.
I mean, I think that the best way to explain this is when there's something like that, you want as few people to know as possible, because the more people who know, the more likely it's going to leak. So you keep that information as limited as possible.
All right. Well, all right. Whatever. I think that's a little bit of I think that's a bit of a hokey explanation, but okay, whatever.
I thought actually it made sense.
And
I mean, keep in mind we're dealing with lots of characters who are shades of gray.
I mean, okay, all right, whatever. So that, all right, and like, yeah, I just do not, yeah, it's okay. So even then, it's like, I do not believe this show did a good job critiquing the Jedi. The only thing I think that those 4 Jedi did down on Brendok, that's the name of the planet, right?
I don't remember.
Okay, I don't remember.
I'll go with
the only. Yes, the only thing I think they did fail was just telling everyone, because I thought there was very little reason to hide it. I mean, it's like why wouldn't, like, just file a report and tell them what happened down there, give them the whole story, and like let's get some XP, level up, and we can all go home. Like, I thought there was very little reason to actually hide it. That's the one area I thought those 4 Jedi messed up in, but whatever.
Well, I mean, I get why they hit it. That whole mission was a disaster. Yeah.
I mainly consider that an overall a success, because like those women were obviously using like pretty, like they were kind of using dark side powers, especially Anastasia.
No,
she's basically creeping up on Torben.
No, we don't know exactly. Essentially, things went to shit. Jedi made the first move, and things went to shit.
They were using pretty dark side powers there. Bob.
Keep in mind the Jedi made the first aggressive move.
Well, I think the witches made the first aggressive move when they basically forced Torben to his knees, caused his eyes to like black out, and then she basically started like walking up all on him, like all sultry, and like she's about to like do something like real naughty to him, if you get my drift.
Okay. I mean,
so like, all right.
I mean, that's just difference of opinion, but sure. I mean, I think what we're exploring there is that we have two different cultures who are very different in how they explore and use the Force. And there's like a conflict because obviously they both think they're the better ones at that. And so there's going to be a bit of conflict culturally. They're not quite going to understand each other or sync up. And there could be, you could explore a moral there about how maybe that's an issue. Maybe people need to sit down and try to understand each other more. But yeah, the show's like we said, the show's plays with morality.
All right. Well, I think that's just about all the that's just about all the stuff I wanted to talk about with the Acolyte with you.
Okay.
So let's move on to Marvel, shall we?
Sure.
All right. So basically, So what do you want to talk about with Marvel? Because I just gave you I gave you some stuff.
Yeah, you just said Marvel. I had nothing specific in mind.
Yeah. All right.
I
All right.
mostly like Marvel. It's not perfect.
So basically, Bob, let me. Mm-hmm. All right. So basically, Bob. So I know you disagree with a lot of people when they say the MCU is failing. And keep in mind, Bob, I'm not a huge MCU fan. I prefer the actual original comics from back in the day, right? So but either way, since the MCU is pretty much the most popular Marvel thing out there right now, might as well just mainly talk about that. Why do you disagree with so many people when they say the MCU is failing? Because anyways, yeah. Why do you think the MCU is failing or not failing?
MCU has only had one clear-cut flop so far. It's had multiple over billion-dollar movies. I don't see evidence of it failing. So what? Actually, let's get this clear. When you're saying it's failing, what do you mean it's failing?
I mean that the movies aren't turning the profit, aren't turning substantial profits, and two, they're falling out critically with the audience. So those two right there.
So, falling out critically with the audience. So that really kind of depends. If you listen to certain networks on social media, yeah, lots of people will say it sucks because X, Y, Z. I don't know if we really care to go into anti-woke arguments here, but if you talk to people in general, you will get a much more positive impression. But as far as failing to turn profits, what we've had how many 3 billion-dollar movies after Endgame, and then we've had 2 or 3 almost billion-dollar movies. There's not that many that I would say failed outright. In fact, the only one I'd say failed outright would be the Marvels. The Marvels was pretty unsuccessful. Ant-Man 3, you could argue maybe only broke even. We don't know full numbers on that. I'm sure it was an underperformer for sure. But yeah, as far as complete failures, at least at the box office, not outside Marvel's, not really.
Okay, so all right, so Bob, do you know how you actually determine if a film is a failure versus a success or not?
I know that there's no guaranteed way to do that, but go ahead and tell me your method.
Okay, my personal method is this, right? So, okay, so hang on. I gotta do this. Hang on. I'm doing this for my YouTube video. So, all right, Bob, give me just a random MCU movie at the very least, in phases 4 and 5. Just random off the top of your head.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
All right, so I'll do that. Thor: Love and Thunder. Okay, so I'm on Thor: Love and Thunder's Wikipedia page right now. So I just looked it up, right? So this is the formula that I use. Now it's not perfect. It doesn't count for all the X factors, but still pretty much gives us a good idea of what we're supposed to do, right? So I'm looking at it right now. It has a budget of $250 million. So 250. Now, it also needs to – now, the marketing budget is going to be half of that, right? So that's 125 right there. So
it depends. We actually don't know marketing budget.
It needs to make – all right, well, on average, the marketing budget will pretty much be half of the movie's budget, right?
Okay.
Just on average.
I mean, so, it's like I said, it's not locked in. We don't know, but I'll go with that.
All right, so there's X factors here, but whatever. So it needs to make 375 million to break even. Then it for right now at least. There's also a 50% distributor's fee in order to get it all out to all the movie theaters, right? Because the movie theaters aren't going to show it for free. So now, just to break even, it needs to make 750 million.
Whoa. So real quick, here's something I don't know if you're aware of, because it's different for every studios. So like opening weekend for a Disney movie, Disney gets a 90% cut.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just have so much of the market share.
All right.
They can do
Okay.
that.
Well, again, I'm not. Right. Again,
like I said,
I'm mainly talking. Again, I'm not
act like
including
these numbers
those
are set in.
Here.
You shouldn't act like these numbers are set in stone. Movie theaters and,
film
studios are very cagey.
I am not acting as if this is a tried and true set in stone formula. This is just useful for like a sort of baseline, basically. So there we go. So 750 to break even. Now to be a success, it needs to make 1.5 billion according to my formula, give or take estimation.
Why does it make real quick? Where are you 1.5 billion to be a success? Why would it need 1.5 billion to be a success? That's a huge number.
Yes.
Nobody would plan on a movie to make 1.5 billion, except maybe an Avengers movie at this point.
Considering that a Marvel movie was the first movie to make over $1 billion at the box office, then I think this is pretty much like what Disney was kind of expecting, or Marvel or Feige or whoever was expecting this film to make, with a budget that just ballooned like that.
Well, the budget's huge. I will give you that. Although, like I said, there's lots of estimates in the budget you're giving out. 250 million is all we actually know. Somewhat even that, because I'm sure it's not exactly that. Still, like, it seems like your argument.
250 million according to
it seems like your argument is it needs to,
according to IndieWire and Variety.
Okay, but your argument is it needs to somehow double that, so it needs to make everything that is spent on the movie back, and then bring in the rest in profit. That's not how it works. Did you actually know? Do you know what profit is?
Yes.
Okay, what is profit?
It's basically like it's basically the funds you make in addition to making your money back, basically, right?
Yeah. So revenue is everything you make. Okay. Profit is everything you make after cost. Now, how much do you think any business needs to make after cost?
I don't know that off the top of my head, Bob. Could you tell me?
0. If it makes its cost, it gets
0.
It's paying all its employees. It's making cost. It means it's a functional business.
Well, no. Hang on, Bob. Hang on now. So no. All right. So So again, collectively through that formula, before the final step, what it needs to make it. All right. So it needs to make 750 million just to break even.
Okay. If we go with that, sure.
No. Okay, no studio is going to spend $750 million just to make $750 million back. They basically made 0 money during that whole process, okay?
Well, here's what I will tell you. Now they did, if you want to say they spent $750 million on Thor 4, we can go with that. I would be I don't think any movie studio would actually spend $750 million on Thor 4, because that's insane. But what that would tell the studio is that, wow, $750 million for this movie? That's a lot of money. What we need to do is make another one of these, but make it for a hell of a lot cheaper.
Yeah. And Bob, I will agree with you on that. Hollywood budgets have ballooned so humongously, there's just no way they can recoup. I agree with you on that. All right, but I'm just saying it's so hopefully Marvel's course correcting this ASAP. But either way, it's this is what I mean. So again, to break even, you need to make 750 million estimation. It only made 760 million at the box office. So it only made like $10 million back. And I don't think that's going to make a lot of like the stockholders or whoever happy, basically, right? So it's like they spent all this
I'll
money
be honest,
and
I
only
don't
made
give a
like
shit about the stockholders. I'm
all
sure
right,
Disney
well,
does.
either
I'm
way,
sure
that's
they
just how,
do. I don't.
yeah, right. I'm just saying this is how the business works. Okay, so they spent all this money and only made like a freaking fraction of that back. Do you think like that like the hot that like that like Bob Iger is happy with that, or whoever?
Well,
Do you
I
think
mean,
Feige would be happy with that?
and I mean the 750 number I think is way blown up. I think
Blame
500. I think. I
Hollywood
mean
for
honestly,
that.
I think 500 million for Thor: Love and Thunder is that one's probably a little bit high, but I think that one's much more reasonable for the actual cost of that movie. So 500 million, that would mean they made 260 million back. That's not bad.
I'm sorry, what movie was that?
Thor: Love and Thunder.
What movie did you just mention?
Thor: Love and Thunder. The movie we've been talking about.
Okay. Okay, hang on. I'm sorry. I got confused from there. Can you repeat your point? I'm sorry.
My point is, I think 750 million is way, way higher. I don't think there's any way in hell any movie studio would spend 750 million dollars on a Thor 4. I'm willing to go for 500 million, and if we go for 500 million, it means they made 260 million dollars back. That's not too bad.
All right. So, well, Bob, so 260 million back for 500 million. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
But like, okay, hang on. All right. So hang on. All right. So let me see this. And by the way, I'm going to plug this into my formula here real quick. And by the way, when you say 500 million, that's your break even point, right?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know the break even point, but I'd be shocked if it was any higher for a Thor movie. We're talking about a Thor solo movie. We're not even having Hulk guest star or anything. Here,
so yeah, so let's see here. I don't know. It would need to. I don't know. That it would need to make like $1 billion. So if it made like 260 million back, that would be an outright flop, pretty much. But like,
wait.
Yeah, either way,
you pay for
Bob,
everything in the movie,
Bob, like.
If you pay for everything in the movie, so everything's paid for, and then you make an extra 260 on top of that, and that's a flop?
You said, I didn't hear the extra part. My bad. I'm sorry. I thought you said 260 mil. I'm sorry. That was my bad. I'm sorry. My bad. But yeah, okay, but no, what you said right there, that would be better. So like 500, so you're talking like 760 million for a $500 million movie. That's better. That's better than what the movie made in reality. But like, again, that's still
that's
not
again,
much.
we don't know the full numbers, but I want to stress it's Thor 4. I'd be shocked they spent more than 500 million on it. And I mean, there's also lots of other ways to make money on it as well.
It's as the Ripley's. All right, but as you know, as Ripley himself said, believe it or don't, or no, believe it or not. I'm sorry. Anyways, so that's just about it. So at least we've at least reached somewhat of a consensus on this. Marvel at least needs to like shorten the budget, but like let's just veer into the into the, like the. All right. So let's all right. So let's just veer into the fan territory. Like, why do you think like the MCU just is not resonating with as much people anymore?
What makes you think it's not resonating with as much people? There's definitely.
The MCU is getting like it's getting more and more backlash by the day, bro, for a lot of reasons.
I mean, we're getting the chud social media commentary on it for sure. But I mean, I don't really see the general audience having any issue with it. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine just broke the record for all time biggest R-rated movie ever.
Yeah, and Bob, I consider that movie a success in spite of the MCU, not because of it.
Why?
Well, because it's basically like this big send off to like the Fox X-Men movies,
True.
the aughts era of superhero movies. It's basically like it's like this big it's like basically it's pretty much the last hurrah of the Deadpool trilogy Fox is making. And it had a whole lot of other stuff working in its favor. That was pretty much it. I don't consider that movie good because it's an MCU movie. I consider that good movie despite being an MCU movie, honestly.
So if you,
So it's like,
let me stress, if you don't like the MCU, that is fine. I, you're allowed to have your opinion. I mean, there's lots of people
mhm,
who don't like the MCU. I mean, these are popcorn movies for the most part. We're not watching Citizen Kane or anything.
mhm, mhm. Bob, all right, Bob, about that Citizen Kane, let me ask you, do you not think the movies could stand to use a little bit more depth to them? It's like, yeah, they're popcorn movies where you go to like watch them and have a good time, kind of like turn your brain off a little bit. But do you not think they can't benefit from having depth a little more than they do?
Well, I mean, what depth are you looking for? I thought, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had some kind of beautiful themes involved with it. I thought that was a really well done movie. That's probably one of my all
You
time
know,
favorite superhero movies.
like what kind of themes are in that movie? Like in your words.
There's a theme of, God, I'd have, if I'd known I'd go into it, I'd probably rewatch it. But like, there's some real, like, I actually did a video essay on it like last year. There's themes of like
Mm,
acceptance of accepting who you are. That's kind of what Rocket's big theme is throughout that movie, because he spends the other two movies talking about, I'm not a raccoon, and then he learns to accept kind of who he is, flaws and all, and he evolves to be, not only does he start calling himself Rocket Raccoon, he becomes the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's kind of a beautiful arc. You have Peter is dealing with his relationship with Gamora. He and Gamora fell in love, and then she died. And now we have a new Gamora. And Peter is being super fucking cringy, trying to act like he can rekindle it, even though this is a different Gamora with a different backstory. And it's cringy, but we have Peter learning that he needs to move on. And I think that's a beautiful idea as well. There's lots of beautiful ideas in that movie. It's really good.
all right, so those are all pretty good examples you gave me. So do you not think like more MC movies can benefit from having like themes like that and trying to
Oh,
deepen their
absolutely.
characters or
Absolutely. I would
whatever?
never
Because
argue. Yeah,
like
sure.
okay, because a bit I because a big criticism of the MCU is that there's just way too much humor now, and it's causing like the characters
I
and
don't,
the people making the show
well,
to
I mean,
not take it seriously. And what?
I would say that on the humor thing, the humor's always been part of the MCU. It's always been criticized for that. The Guardians movies are known for their humor. They have tons of humor. Some of it's kind of cringy, but like overall, those movies are the best in the MCU, in my opinion. So, I think the argument that there's
Yeah,
like
I know, Bob,
the
but
humor
now,
hasn't
but
gone up. It's just always been there in the MCU.
I think I thought if you ask a lot of people, the humor has really gone up and to almost
I
intolerable
mean, do you
levels.
have examples? I
Because
mean, I would say maybe
um,
the beginning of Thor: Love and Thunder wasn't well done with the humor. Um, but I don't know. That's kind of just one
one
example off
moment
the top of
I
my head.
particularly found like really stupid. What I mean, one example I could think of that was really stupid off the top of my head was basically like in that same movie, he had Thor, he had Mjolnir in one hand, he had Thunderstrike, is that the name of the new hammer? In the other hand, and he's basically like doinking them together like Barbie dolls kissing each other. I thought that was absolutely stupid and killed like whatever
Okay.
tone they were building in that scene
I mean,
or
Thor: Love and
whatever. So
Thunder has a lot of issues. I
like
like
Bob.
Stormbreaker. Thank you, chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like, yeah. So like, is like honestly, Bob, like Bob, are you familiar with the Borderlands video games?
Not no.
Okay. Well, okay. So basically, in the Borderlands games, so the first game was fairly serious, but it had its humorous moments. All the DLCs for the first game, kind of ramped up the humor. That's kind of where the series found its groove, its identity. The second game kind of continued that trend. It really refined everything. Then you fast forward to the third game, and the comedy is really overbearing. I'm sorry, I also skipped
Mm-hmm.
Tales from the Borderlands. That was also a pretty good mix of comedy and seriousness. And the comedy is really overbearing, particularly from the main villains who were trying to emulate the previous game's villain, Handsome Jack. Basically, like the whole game just became kind of farcical, and whatever stakes or serious tone it could have is just ruined because, like, up here come the twins. I forgot their names. Here come the twins. They're about to tell you something really obnoxious, and they expect you, the audience, to laugh at it. And it just doesn't happen. And it even continued in the next adventure game they made, new Tales from the Borderlands. And the CEO of Gearbox, who make the Borderlands games, Randy Pitchford, outright advertised New Tales as like it's a playable sitcom. So basically, that's what I'm saying. Like, do you think the MCU can benefit from just taking a break from the comedy and just trying to like elevate itself to like have more like not necessarily adult but mature themes to kind of like deepen its storytelling and its characters?
Well, so do you now? Do I think they should do that overall? No. Do I think occasionally doing a more serious story is a good idea? Sure. I think that's what they're doing with Captain America. I mean, Winter Soldier had a couple little jokes, but like for the most part, that's a fairly serious movie. I mean, honestly, you could say that for all the Russo brothers movies. Um, there are jokes for sure because the
Yeah, that's
MCU's
kind of
always
what I'm
had
getting.
jokes. But yeah,
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
I
Like,
mean, the new Captain America
that's what
trailer
I'm
just came
kind of
out.
getting at.
That
Like
looks awesome
one,
and
two,
political. But yeah.
all right. So, okay. So, Bob, all right. How about we ask, like, why do you think, all right, let's transition away from MCU. Why do you think Marvel, like, comics, like the selling of comics is failing? Why do you think
Well,
that?
actually, if you look at the numbers, the sales have gone up, especially since COVID.
Oh, they have?
Yes. I mean,
Can
it's tough
do you
to.
mind sending me some numbers?
So yeah. So Marvel Comics, comic books in general aren't beautiful at that, but I can drop in your email.
All right, thank you. That'd be appreciated. Uh, okay, so like, okay, so all right. Let's see here. Well, all right. Well, either way, I'll look over those numbers later. So I'll just take your word on that for now, at the very least. Now, Bob, this is a really big one. Like, this is a big If you've seen my videos, you should know. Like, this is a big problem I have with you, and it's you constantly calling everyone you disagree with either a grifter or a chud, right? So these are two like words I hear you use a lot, so like to describe people like you just disagree with. And so, Bob, let me just
It's
ask
not
you,
that I
like,
disagree
what
with. There's a
in your
difference.
own word? Okay, all right. Okay, what is the difference then?
Between somebody I disagree with and a grifter. So, someone I
Yes.
disagree with
What?
is
Yeah. What is
someone
the
I
difference?
disagree with. I have lots of disagreements. Like if I watch other YouTube channels,
Okay.
bigger people, I disagree with John Campea a lot. I disagree with Red Letter Media a lot. Um, I won't call them grifters or chuds at all.
Do
Um,
you call? All right. All right. All right. Okay. So
so
what I was going to ask
grifter.
you, in your own words, can you please define grifter and chud?
Well, we've actually done this fairly often, but I'll go ahead and say a grifter at this point is someone who's pushing the culture war nonsense, pushing this women are taking over all the men's spots, all this kind of garbage. It's the anti woke argument. A lot of the bigger YouTubers, you can tell they're just doing it for money. They're just selling a fake culture war for bucks, and lots of times they'll have these side projects where it's like contribute money to me, and I will fight the culture war, and it's all bull crap. I mean, a lot of their narratives aren't even accurate when they discuss the media
All
they're
right.
they're supposedly engaging with. And then here, let me go
Okay.
ahead because I found
All right, Bob. Let me ask you. Like you found a what?
I'm digging up the definition of chud here because there's a really good one on Urban Dictionary that I think sums it up quite well.
All right. Well, either way, Bob, while you get that up, let me just ask you, like, you legit think, like, all right, well, first of all, a grifter, the actual definition is that it's basically a small scale con artist.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, Bob, but like, I don't consider making YouTube videos and that express your views on things and then uploading them to the 5th most popular website in the world is small scale con jobs. I don't consider that at all.
Well, what if you're making those videos with the intent of selling a fake narrative that somehow media is dying and that only you can save it with your new media that you're making?
I mean, well, okay. I mean, it's basically just like crowdfunding. It's like, hey, are you sick of like how things are in the mainstream now? You want something a bit more alternative and you're liking? Well, here's my stuff right here, and if you fund it, then we'll basically get it up and going, and we hope you really like it.
Well,
that's not grifting, Bob. That's just
if it was
advertising.
if it was as simple as that, then you'd be right. Sure. But like frequently these yeah, what these guys do is they lie. That's why we talk about the culture war stuff. It's culture war garbage, I like to say. They lie about the media. They don't engage with it honestly. Um,
How do they
yeah.
not engage with it honestly? What does that mean?
I mean, well, number one, when you go watch a piece of media, I think it's important to go into it with an open mind. Would you agree to that?
To an extent, Bob. Like, okay, like if there's a piece of media that has like a really bad trailer or there's a lot of press release about it that just does not make it sound good, and I'm gonna admit, Bob, I'm gonna be a little jaded when I go in to see that. Like, what's a good example? Like Bob, you remember the movie Cats, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that trailer looked really awful, didn't it? Yeah.
I mean, more recently, the Borderlands trailer looked awful.
Okay, yeah. How about that instead? So yeah, and good example because I recently saw it like today on F Movies. Anyway, so that trailer looked real bad. All right, that trailer is out there to get you and me and everyone else to see that movie. It's like, hey, this looks really cool, doesn't it? You should see this movie in theaters, basically. So, and it looks bad. It's like, I'm not gonna lie, because the trailer looked bad, I'm gonna think this is a bad movie. So when I go now again, Bob, I don't. It's not like I go into this movie like wanting it to be bad. I'm expecting it to be, but there's a difference between expecting it to be bad and wanting it to be bad, okay? I want it to be good, and I hope I'm proven wrong, but if the trailer's bad, then there's a very good chance the movie itself is going to be bad, right? So,
I mean,
and
statistically, probably, but not guaranteed.
Oh, yeah, I know there's good movies that have had really bad trailers, misleading ones even, but even then, it's like there's a very good chance. I want to say like 4 times out of 5 that's the case, pretty much. But anyway, so it's like so Bob, it's like it's not like they're like so like I don't think a lot of these guys, and I assume you're talking about dudes like Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic, disprove, like these guys, I don't think they really go into media just like looking to hate on it or looking to trash it. I think honestly, every time they go in to see one of these like movies by Disney, I think they go in giving them a fair shot, honestly.
So I mean, we want to talk about like
Like,
I always talk about how.
Do you not think that?
No, I don't think they go into them. Well, listen, they might go into it and give it a fair shot personally, but I know you can tell from their videos lots of times. Like Critical Drinker, I'll say at least uploads videos for movies that he likes occasionally. We get those. His movies reviews are probably some of the better content he does, frankly. His speculation gets bad, but that's we can get into that later. Nerdrotic kind of chooses. Almost all his movies have some sort of negative slant to them. All his reviews have a negative slant to them. Even if it's a positive review, he's going to use it as a springboard to bash something else that's probably unrelated. So yeah, I do think they even if they are going in and personally giving it an honest chance on their YouTube channels, they aren't.
Why if they're going into the movie theaters, why wouldn't they on their channels?
For views, outrage clicks.
Okay, like Bob, I think it's like I don't really think that's the case, Bob, because it's like there's pardon me, it's like if something's really good, if they really liked it, what, like it's just like that just doesn't make sense, Bob. Like, but I think you're putting way I think it's like I don't Bob, I don't think you're. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm having another brain fart.
It's all good.
I don't think, Bob, that you're really giving them. I don't really think you're basically giving them a chance to basically. Every time, like I was watching, like again, back to that Acolyte video. You were watching Drinker's Acolyte video on episode 5. It's like even like or it wasn't that. It was something else. He was like, oh, okay, I remember now. It was Drinker reacting to RDJ's reveal as Dr. Doom.
Okay.
And it's basically, and Drinker said, I really hope that they can improve. And you just paused and you said, like, I don't believe you. Like, really? It's like, he sounds pretty genuine there. I mean, it's like, again,
well, I mean,
Bob,
he makes his career off outrage clicks.
I mean, okay, well, Bob, even then, okay, making their career, okay, so basically you're saying he makes his career off of his negative reviews, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Oh, Bob, I think that speaks more to, like, the landscape of media we're in right now, where more, like, garbage is getting made than good stuff, honestly.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? Like, doesn't that speak more about, like, I mean, again, that's like, I mean, again, it's again, it's like subjective on how, I mean, it's subjective to like how bad each individual film he reviews you think that they are, but it's like if you look at them objectively, they're not very good, right?
So how do you look at movies objectively? I'd like to know that.
Well, you should probably ask Mahler, because Mahler could probably tell you a good chunk about that.
Well, he won't talk to me, but
well, I mean,
Mahler has yet to demonstrate how he looks at movies objectively. Like the closest I get is he says when he looks at a movie, he doesn't even look at the movie anymore. He looks at a script, which frankly that's a terrible way to look at a movie.
I mean, that's just how he analyzes the story. Basically, Mahler's the kind of guy who like more analyzes the story more than anything in the film. Barring certain examples that really get him.
Still, it would be the story through his own bias.
I don't think that's a very fair interpretation either, since Mahler is the guy who always sets his biases aside to judge movies. But whatever.
That's impossible. Unless he's a robot, that's impossible.
No, it's really not, Bob. All you gotta do is just like, okay, I know what I like, I know what I dislike. I'm gonna leave that stuff at the door, and I'm gonna look at the movie for what it is and try to judge it for what it is, basically. And it's really not hard, Bob. I mean, ever since like Mahler got me doing that, like it's really easy actually.
Really
But
easy to put your biases
it's
aside
like,
as a
okay,
human
again,
being.
Bob. Yes.
Again, I don't believe you.
So, well, I can't help you there then, Bob. But it's like, so, like, all right, so then, oh yeah, so anyway, so back to what we were talking about earlier. It's like, I think so when Drinker and Gary and Az and all them, when they make negative reviews, again, I think that speaks more to like the quality of content that like big studios like Disney and Warner Brothers and Paramount are just pushing out there. I think that speaks more to that than just like them just wanting to get angry at a film for like 5 minutes in a YouTube video.
Well,
I think that speaks more to that than anything.
Let's go ahead and examine one of their arguments. Can you explain to me? I'm not even going to get into the sexist connotation of this. Can you explain to me why Gary created the term MCU?
Because Kevin Feige basically said like there's not enough female characters, so basically we need to like start pumping out a bunch of female characters. Usually like female characters who are like female counterparts to like previously existing male characters, like in order like get an even number of men and women in there or something like that. Something like that.
Well, I mean, real quick,
It's basically Kevin
I
Feige being a male feminist, pretty much.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it's just, I don't. Well, let me ask you: do you see that as a bad thing, having women possibly equaling men superheroes in the MCU?
Not inherently. It just
Okay.
matters in execution, and it just matters in execution, really. And but I will like this is something I really want to ask Feige. It's like, why does there even need to be an even number? Like, why can't there just be like the characters as they are?
To reach more of an honestly, to reach more of an audience. These are 4-quadrant movies. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Bob, that just doesn't seem like it's the strategy doesn't seem to really be working out since doing that, the quality of the films has gotten more and more divisive as time went on. Usually with the male fan base.
We haven't even agreed on that. Yes, there are online groups that are hating on the MCU. General public overall seems pretty cool with it.
Well, the general public, Bob, aren't really like really good at judging films collectively, which is why
are we talking about
people like?
I mean, judging the quality of the movie is going to be subjective for everybody. Someone who goes to see movies regularly, like I go see like usually a couple movies a week, is going to have a different perspective than someone who just goes a couple times a year. Now, it doesn't mean either one of our perspectives is invalid. It's just different perspectives. If somebody goes and sees a movie that you think is bad and they come out and say, "Oh, I love that movie," that's not an invalid perspective.
All right. Well, I'm just saying that I'm just saying it's like all right. Well, I guess what I'm getting at is there is like the general public, like those guys who only go like once every few months. They're not really reliable when it comes to judging a film's quality, and it's usually why a lot of people leave it up to people who critique and review movies as part of like their job or their career, or in this case, their YouTube channel, basically.
Well, okay, so keep in mind. So yes, those people may not be best if you want a full fleshed out movie review. If you want somebody to sit down for 10 minutes and explain the movie to you, that's probably not going to be the best person. But that's the audience that Marvel and all these big corporations are shooting for.
Okay, all right, all right, but I'm sorry, I'm trying to phrase this word. I'm trying to phrase a sentence. But they're basically driving away their primary male fan base pretty much in the hopes to bring in more female audience members. And I'm not sure how many they've brought in. I'm willing to be generous and say like a few, but it's like it's not enough. It's not enough to replace all the men they've driven away. This just seems to
How
be a
many men
more
have they driven
costly
away?
creative decision.
We're
I'm
just talking
willing to
about
bet a
Deadpool and
fair. I'm
Wolverine
willing to bet.
breaking records, so.
All right. Well, I'm willing to bet a fair number they've driven away, and I'm willing to bet a fair number of those aren't going to come back because they've been so alienated, basically. Like,
Well,
yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine again. It made it.
If they can still make billion-dollar movies, I think they'll live with the loss of then.
I mean, you can't. But you can't bleed your fan. You can't bleed fans forever because fans are basically the lifeblood of a work, pretty much. So
true, but if they're still able to make a billion-dollar movie, they still have plenty of fans.
I mean, then we get into the argument that's like, well, how many of them are just like you're familiar with the meme, the consumers. Now we really have to ask, well, how many of them are just consumers who blindly just go into the movie theater, see it, and give it a good review anyway because it's got the Marvel brand logo slapped on it? Because I think those people are pretty significant in number.
I mean, possibly. Marvel doesn't care. They'll take their money too.
I mean, yeah, but like those people are going to just give it to them anyway and give them a good review anyway because they're just blind consumers. So it's like,
I don't know how many of these blind consumers. I don't know if I've really met anybody who's completely blind consumer. I mean, there's probably a few people who just love everything Marvel, and honestly, that's fine. But yeah, I don't think that's a significant chunk.
Those people really should not be.
But if they can make over $1 billion on that, then okay. I mean, that's a business model. They are winning.
I mean, yeah, but it's like it's costing them critically with the fans they're losing. You know, those guys are basically like online critics like Drinker, Neurotic, et cetera. They're basically telling everyone like these are the problems with the MCU. They're basically telling everyone like the MCU is not doing well. Here's why.
So I will tell you this about the MCU. Like it or not, if they can make $1 billion on a movie, they'll take all the negative reviews in the world. They don't care. As a corporation, they're just trying to make money.
I mean, it's like how long can they even do that when more and more people are waking up to like how shoddy the quality is? It's like it's gonna run out eventually.
You're talking about the shoddy again. We're back on Deadpool and Wolverine. That movie is overall getting positive reception, making $1 billion. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 last year, almost $1 billion. Fantastic reviews. I love that movie. Let's see, what was before that? Quantumania. Year before that, what was the big movie? Oh, Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. That got pretty good reviews. Almost $1 billion on that one as well. I mean, honestly, they're pulling over $1 billion or near $1 billion movie a year.
All right. Well, either. Yeah, well, Bob. If you've done the math, if you've done the math like I did, you notice that there's a decrease in profitability with each passing movie. So yeah, they're making ass loads of money, but they're not making as much as they need, for these movies. And and again, they continue to drive their fans away, basically. Okay, so. All right.
I mean, if they're getting one big hit a year, that's okay. But although we did get distracted off something, I was asking you why Gary started the phrase MCU.
Because I already answered the question. It's because Kevin Feige basically, like a male feminist, basically wanted to get more women into the MCU. And again, that's not bad. But he basically really signed off on a lot of creative decisions that aren't working well, and it's basically Neurotic, Drinker, and et cetera, voicing their opinions like these are not good. Here are the reasons why. So there you go.
So I mean, I'll go ahead and break it down for you. I mean, honestly, I don't know Gary's head, but it seems kind of obvious to me. He created it because it's something he knew there would be people who are sexist who get behind that and go, yeah, MCU, women suck. And then there are people who would get offended by that saying, MCU, why are you saying women suck? And Gary knew he could get both that audience by saying something fairly sexist about the MCU. And so he created that phrase. And that's kind of how he works. He's going to
I mean
get,
that.
his goal is to get,
I mean your mileage may. I mean
I mean, that's the whole point
your
of his
mileage
Miles
may vary on
Morales
how
tweets.
sexist that term is.
It's pretty sexist. I don't even see how that's up for debate.
How is it sexist? How is it sexist? How is it sexist?
He's using it in a negative connotation to imply that women in the MCU are bad.
I mean, yeah. He's saying he's not saying that. He's saying that to imply that the push for more female characters has been a bad thing and it's impacted the quality.
Why is the push for more female characters a bad thing? Why is that inherently bad?
Because again, it's not inherently bad, Bob. It is basically it's resulting in the creation of a lot of characters that haven't gotten over well with the audience, and they're driving their male fans away, and again, it's causing the quality of the storytelling and numerous other things in production to go badly, right? So that's basically why.
Not really. I mean, if we're just if we just want to talk about like the realistic application of that phrase, MCU doesn't even really apply because I mean, what movie? We got Deadpool and Wolverine this year, starring Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. Last year we got Marvels.
Yeah.
Okay, that stars 3 women. But then we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 starring Chris Pratt. We got Ant-Man 3 starring Paul Rudd. Those don't really apply. We can go down the list. Throughout Phase 4 and 5, projects aren't really starring a huge amount of women more. And honestly, I think that's good. I'm not a particular fan of something like the Marvels. I thought that could have been better.
Well,
but I don't think the idea behind Marvels is inherently bad.
Certainly towards the early. It was certainly towards the earlier phases of it was certainly towards the first half of Phase 4. I want to say that's when when the MCU was really bad. So yeah, that I think it's I think Marvel pretty much like recognized like.
So we're talking about WandaVision, okay? Black Widow, Captain America, or Falcon and Winter Soldier. Oops, that doesn't apply. Shang-Chi. Oh, that doesn't apply. It's not.
Katie in that film, if you ask me, qualifies.
Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi very much stars Shang-Chi.
It's not. It's. But Katie was pretty prominent in that movie, and I thought she was annoying as hell. But that's just me.
I mean, that's your opinion. I actually thought Awkwafina did a good job in that movie.
I think Marvel. Your mileage may vary, but anyways, I think Marvel. I think Feige pretty much like got the hint, and they stopped doing that. Personally, I think they realized, and they're edging off on it.
Oh, okay. I
like personal. Yeah. Anyways.
All right. So why does Gary still say it then?
I don't know. I don't know. If I had to guess, probably ways like never forget their fuck ups.
Well, I mean, he still calls the movies MCU, so.
I mean, that's his prerogative. So.
And it's for outrage clicks.
Oh my god! Like Bob, you can't just assume that like they're doing everything just for outrage clicks.
I mean, it's not assuming when
Bob,
I see them do it.
Okay, like so you're basically talking about like what. I mean, Bob, that's kind of like a ridiculous thing. That's kind of a ridiculous thing to like say someone's doing on YouTube. Like everyone is making their videos for clicks and types, right? It's like that's just like a ridiculous thing to call someone out on. It's like
So
everyone, like I'm doing it, you're doing it, Gary's doing it. We're all doing it to get views.
Making money on the internet is fine. Framing honest opinions in a clickbaity way, I honestly don't even have a problem with that. I do that plenty of times myself. Gary is selling culture war nonsense with that MCU crap, and he knows it. And it's worth noting, there's that video going around where he admits it. So, like, he's admitted Miles Morales is Spider-Man.
What video?
There's a little clip of a
what? Where? That's very out of character for him.
Why is it out of character for him to say that Miles Morales is Spider-Man?
That just sounds...
I have a short on my channel of him saying that.
Because he never... Because... All right, if you can direct me to that, then I would really like to see that.
Steve Rogers is indeed Captain America, and Miles Morales is Miles Morales. This statement does not say that Sam Wilson isn't a Captain America. It doesn't say John Walker isn't a Captain America, or Isaiah Bradley, who was retconned as the first Captain America, isn't a Captain America. It doesn't say that Bucky Barnes isn't a Captain America. It just says Steve Rogers is Captain America, and the same goes with Miles Morales. He is indeed, again, Miles Morales. He's also a Spider-Man. Main characters get replaced all the time in the comic books, and it can be fun because we know in the back of our mind that Bruce Wayne is coming back, Clark Kent is coming back, Peter Parker's coming back, and Steve Rogers is coming back, just like he came back in the comics after Sam Wilson was Captain America for a little while.
Well, no, he didn't. Well, no, he didn't say Miles Morales is Spider-Man. He said Miles Morales is a Spider-Man.
I mean, that's the whole argument. Miles Morales is absolutely a Spider-Man. Miles Morales is a Spider-Man. Miguel O'Hara's a Spider-Man.
Okay.
Peter Parker's a Spider-Man. They're all Spider-Man.
Okay. Hang on, Bob. There's a difference between saying Miles is a Spider-Man and Miles is Spider-Man. No A there. Okay, that A being there and not being there makes a difference.
No, it doesn't. No.
Yes, it does. It's like he pretty much lays it out in that whole clip. He's like, oh yeah, John Walker is a Captain America, Sam Wilson is a Captain America, but Steve Rogers is Captain America. It's like that's pretty much it. Like he pretty much lays it out there. It's like, how did you not get that?
I'm trying to figure out how you're not getting it. Like, you're getting caught up on the article A.
Well,
it doesn't change anything that he's saying.
Yes, it does. It's like okay, all right. Here, let me rephrase it a little bit to help you understand. Miles Morales is a Spider-Man. Miguel O'Hara is a Spider-Man. Specifically, Spider-Man 2099. All right, Peter Parker is the Spider-Man. That's pretty much it.
So why is he the Spider-Man, but the other ones are just a
you understand
Spider-Man?
That?
Yeah, but why is he the Spider-Man?
Because Peter Parker is the Spider-Man pretty much everyone thinks of immediately when you hear the word Spider-Man.
Well, actually, lots of people think of Miles Morales anymore. He's become kind of popular. I don't think he's as popular as Peter Parker, but he's up there. There's lots of people who think of Miles Morales now.
He ain't ever gonna be as pop. I
mean, we don't actually know.
I was talking
because
about.
keep in mind, Hal Jordan is the most popular Green Lantern.
Barry
Allen's most popular Flash.
He is. Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, most people prefer Wally anyway. But anyways, it's
again, he's not the original either.
Anyways, my point. Well, neither is Barry. So.
Yep.
But either way, yeah. But anyways, it's like I don't know. It's like whoever is the most popular is the character. But if you ask me, like everyone else,
I mean, you can set that standard, but you can set that standard, but you can't expect everybody to follow a standard like that because they're all Spider-Men. Miles Morales, Miguel O'Hara, Peter Parker. I was about ready to say Gwen Stacy, but like she's Spider-Woman or Ghost Spider. But yeah, those three are all Spider-Man. There's tons of Spider-Ham.
All right. even Miles Morales' fans will admit that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Is the Spider-Man.
Of course.
Even they will admit that.
What? I don't know why you're saying the Spider-Man. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Miles Morales is Spider-Man. They're all Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, the fact that we have so many means that we kind of have to make this distinction now, pretty much.
So, okay, so if you're going to use that distinction, an interesting question that chat kind of brought up, who is the Ant-Man?
I think at this point in time, Scott Lang got that.
Okay, so it's Scott Lang. So why is it not Hank Pym?
Yeah. Because Hank Pym's not the popular one anymore. He's not the most popular of the three anymore.
So if there's a
Hank Pym started it all, but he ain't the most popular one anymore.
So if in the future Miles Morales becomes more popular, would you reset your standard and say Miles Morales is the Spider-Man?
Yeah, but I have
I'm
really doubt we're gonna
okay,
hit that
well, I'm just looking
25.
for some consistency, and also keep in mind, that's just kind of your rule, and if other people have that rule, that's fine, but that's not the general rule, and that's not really how language is even used. But Miles Morales, Peter
most
Parker,
comic book
Ben
fans
Riley,
pretty much
they're all
agree
Spider-Man.
with me on that, based on my experience. I mean, all right. Well, anyway, all right.
I mean, it kind of depends who you run with, but I mean, we can go over one more thing if you want, but I don't want to be too much longer. Honestly, I'm starving, and I need to start getting ready for bed. But yes.
I know. I get that. What was okay, so all right, and Bob, and all right, and like, oh yeah, Bob, I almost forgot to ask you, what how do you define chud? We kind of sat on that one for a while. How do you define chud?
I pulled it up, and yeah. A conservative Republican, someone who is either racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic, fascist, a bootlegger, or all the above.
All right, well, Bob, that's a bit of a loaded word right there, and that's filled with words that you also got to define, because all right, well, Bob, what's a conservative? Because keep in mind, a few of these guys that you're talking about, they don't even live in the U.S., so they might have a different definition of conservative than like you or I would. Like Drinker, he's from Scotland. Mahler's from Wales.
Even
Disbrew, he's
with
British. Like
even with these guys from an alternate country, would you agree from an American standpoint they push a more conservative viewpoint?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I'm looking
by conservative, you mean American conservatism.
Well, I'm an American, so yes.
All right, fair play. All right, but like, all right, it's like really, you think all these guys are just like horrible istophobes? Yeah.
I mean, we could go over it, but I mean, I don't know, like I mean, I do tons of videos on this. We can go over the term, like I use the word bigot a lot to kind of cover all of it. But yeah, I mean, they do push a bigoted worldview. And kind of for me, if you are somebody who regularly pushes bigotry, that's a bigot. I don't know how else to define it.
I mean, okay, you've explained the MCU part. You think that's sexist? All right, whatever. It's like really, bro. You think they're just making their videos just to push like bigotry?
Oh
and,
no,
I think that's really it.
I don't think they're
honestly.
I don't think they're making it to push bigotry. I think they're pushing it for outrage clicks, and they know bigotry is an easy way to get outrage.
All right. Okay. So, but why would they even like want that in the, like? Okay, even if I were to accept this premise that like, oh, they're just doing it to push outrage clicks. Why would they even like push bigotry with their outrage clicks or get their outrage clicks like through actual bigots? Why the heck would they ever do that?
Because it's easy.
Because it's like that's it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, man. That just seems. I mean, in the world we live in today, that just seems like something you probably wouldn't want to do, honestly.
Well, I think some of them probably fell into it. But I mean, it is an easy way to make money because when you push that angle, you will have people who are actual bigots who will be like, "Yeah, this is my guy. I love what he says." But then you'll also get people who are outraged, and they will click and
Well,
they will give you the comment, the negative comment. They'll give you the downvote, all of which is engagement, which is what you're looking for.
all right, well, all right, well, all right, well, Bob, like, all right, two things about that, and then we can wrap this up. One, the views of their fan bases do not necessarily reflect the views of the person basically, making the video, right? You do understand that, right?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm getting the impression that like okay, even if I were to like believe this premise, like, oh, like Drinkers fans, Gary's fans, they're all just horrible bigots, and
Well, I
I'll
mean,
subscribe to
there's a
them
lot of
because like they
now
push.
there's a lot of variation there. Not all are bigots. Now, do they have fans who are bigots? Absolutely. But there's people who just watch the drinker casually. There's a huge range of fans.
Well, then by that point, I think like whatever quote unquote bigotry they spew, it's more so like as a free agent, not because like Drinker whoever told them to like believe this or whatever. It's like, and usually and there's probably a good chance they already had those beliefs to begin with, and they
They
didn't get
might
them
have, but they
from
definitely get
Drinker or
arguments
whatever.
from these guys. I can tell you that. I've seen the comments.
All right. Oh yeah, like what's the worst comment you've seen on a Drinker video?
Oh, I don't look at their comments. I'm talking about comments on my videos.
Oh, okay, all right, well, all right. Well, either way, and it's like, all right, okay, and then finally, it's like, Bob, you do all right. Well, even then, it's like, Bob, you do realize that disliking a video hurts that video's like performance in the algorithm, right?
Nope.
So like,
Engagement's
well,
engagement. Social media.
that is true.
Social media likes
No,
engagement. Period.
no, no. Well, I know, Bob, but like YouTube, this is the one thing that YouTube has that separates it from all the other social media websites, and it's the thumbs down button. That button alone, pretty much like that button alone can hurt a video's performance in the algorithm.
What evidence do you have of that?
Yeah. I mean, that's just YouTube's. That's just how YouTube works, honestly, Bob. Like I've heard
I'll tell you,
it's
social media works with engagement. It will push negative engagement, positive engagement. It pushes engagement. Somebody engages, somebody saw something and felt enough to hit some sort of reaction. That pushes it in the algorithm.
Okay, well, on YouTube it only works if it's a thumbs up. All right, yeah, comments and subscribe and comments like help that out, but it's mainly the thumbs up button. Okay, then this YouTube has worked this way for like more than 10 years.
I will
now,
tell you this:
okay?
if you somehow know how the numbers work and somehow how like thumbs up will boost it more than thumbs down, I would love those numbers. I'd absolutely love it. YouTube is all social media is very cagey with the algorithm, but the way it almost always works, engagement is engagement is engagement.
All right. I will look up an article for you to peruse on your own time. But and Bob, this is the last question I'll ask, and then I'll let you go. Bob, like, does it not bother you at all that like on most of your videos you get more like thumbs downs than thumbs ups, and you get more negative comments than positive comments? Does that bother you at all?
It used to. But then I started thinking about it because I don't get like I will do like reaction videos, but I don't downvote these videos. I don't like do negative comments. A lot of these people don't even engage with my actual arguments. A lot of it feels like copy paste stuff, and what it tells me is that I'm getting through to their audience. That audience has a chance to see more reasonable, thoughtful takes. Lots of times when they're really offended, it tells me they know that deep down I'm right, and that is It's not a bad thing.
Well, okay. And like, does it bother you at all that like you like I've seen your numbers, like your viewing numbers. Like, does it bother you at all that like you are like consistently trailing behind them, like in terms of like subscriber count, viewer numbers?
I mean,
does that bother you at all?
Dude, I was booming when this whole trend took off. When the Brie Larson trend took off. Do you know how much I made? Like shortly before the Brie Larson hate trend took off. Do you know how much I was making on YouTube then?
No.
Okay, I'm probably not supposed to reveal this, but I made $2,400. I was doing extremely well, and I saw the Brie Larson trend taking off. I was like, whoa, well, maybe Brie Larson did something really, really offensive. So I looked into it, and I found all the videos very cringe. They were overreacting over nothing, in my opinion. So I didn't hop on that train. I could have and been a lot more successful than I am now. But I didn't because one of the things on my YouTube channel is I want to be honest. I want to be frank. I want to be who I am. I did not make this channel to push false narratives or to push anything negative that I don't think is unjustified. So would I like bigger numbers? Yes, of course. But not at the cost of my soul.
Okay. Well, I think we have just about addressed all the stuff I wanted to talk with you about. I want to say that like this was a fairly productive discussion with you, Bob. And again, I want to thank you one more time for taking time out of your day to address me. It has been enlightening. So, Bob, I will let you go, and
right.
I will email you an article about how YouTube dislikes work. So I say we just end it right here.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Have a good day, man.
Yeah. Have a good day, Bob. Goodbye.
Nope, it is just me. It's just me. Let me go ahead and close this thing out. That was not nearly as friendly as the past few conversations. I don't know. It was fine though. I mean, I do feel like he's had too much the anti-woke sauce, which is a little sad. And I wish there was more I could do to reach out to him. Maybe at some point he will realize, honestly, these guys are lying to him. But it is what it is. Guys, thank you for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe. Low watermark, I agree. I feel bad for him too. I hope he eventually breaks out of this. I assume he's younger. I hope he breaks out of this at some point. But guys, thank you for watching. Thank you. Hit the like button, subscribe.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.
This month, I've made $1,000 on Twitter. $1,000. And I know there's people out there stealing content like Ian Miles Chong making a lot more. But I'm making $1,000 off of Miles Morales tweets. Shit I would do for free. That, for one, is America. That is capitalism. And it's fucking hilarious. And you can do it too. You can do it too. You can do Miles Morales tweets because they're like engagement gold. They're engagement crack.
Okay, because I really dislike the fake geek thing and the poser nerd thing. That's not what we're about. We're about inclusiveness, and we want new people in.